Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, a preview of NIGP's 2024 Leadership Summit. Today's panel includes Chris Coghill, Kristen Webb, Jane Ellie Caputo, with Todd Slater, Carrie Winter, and Chanda Carpenter. If at any time during the webinar you need tech support, please send me a direct chat. Remember to engage with your peers by making sure you have your chat options selected to everyone. During the webinar, please submit any questions you have to the chat or the Q&A, and we'll take those throughout the presentation. Chris, would you like to get us started?
Absolutely. Thank you, Justin. Hello, everybody out there in webinar land. What are we here to do? We are here to get a sneak peek of NIGP's Leadership Summit 2024. Are you interested in attending and you want to learn more? Maybe you're already registered, but you want a better understanding of what you've gotten yourself into. You're at the right place, so join us as we explore the Leadership Summit experience, our flagship program bringing together emerging, experienced, and chapter leaders together under one roof. During this 30-minute webinar, the primary focus will be on the Impact program, which was designed specifically to address the biggest current challenges faced by mid to senior level procurement leaders. The NIGP Leadership Development Committee will provide a preview of what to expect from attending, and you will hear from our key facilitators about their plans to make this a high-energy, action-based experience for all of our attendees. So, what about this is different? And this is coming from your Leadership Development Committee. We have put this conference together for the singular purpose of trying to aid the mid to senior level range executive to help them strengthen their skills, to try to broaden their horizons, to maybe give them that little extra boost that they need in their career. We've long been interested in bringing a concentrated program dedicated to this group of professionals that possibly is overlooked in the workplace. Our hope has been to assist those professionals in broadening their skills, in strengthening their relationships. We feel the struggle along with you. And we hope by bringing these leadership topics via the Leadership Summit that we are meeting the needs of this important segment of our industry. We feel like this is important at this juncture in time because so many of us feel this pain. And as I was talking to Jay Caputo, which you'll hear from shortly, and Todd, just before the webinar started, I was reflecting back to when I was a neophyte, 2003, 2004, 2005. This was not as much a problem. It seemed like people were coming out of woodwork. You could hire people very easily. You could get them trained very easily. The LEAP program was set. You're finding people left and right going through that and, getting experience. And then people at my level were rising and then rising some more. And now you're finding those people that were going through the trenches at the same time I was, they're now at the senior manager, director, senior director level, and they're finding it very difficult to almost impossible to fill the vacancies that they have. They're either having to shift the focus from those professionals that are certified down to people that maybe don't really know much or anything at all about procurement. there's a bigger push towards college level kids that still don't know anything about procurement. But we're reaching out and we're saying, hey, come and take a look at us, take a look at our industry and see what it is that we may have to offer you. Bringing this topic, this theme of addressing today's public procurement talent challenges, creating a culture that attracts, retains, and develops top people is very important, not only to you, but it is to me, and it is to your best friend over there, and your colleague over there, and maybe to your friend down the street. It's important to all of us because we're not going to be in this industry forever. I hope to retire sometime in the next 10 years. So I'm going to take my person that I just recently hired and I'm going to train the hell out of them. And I'm going to get her as proficient as I possibly can so that when I retire, I know that my city is in the best hands that I can possibly leave it in. So they're asking me what has been my experience and what have I gained from attending these. I will tell you that this is my absolute favorite conference. I have been all 3 years so far, and I just absolutely love it. The first conference was a little bit different than what it is presented as now. Doesn't matter. The fact that we do such a deep dive into one topic and that it's so different from forum is just, it's a game changer. You get to sit in one room with the same people. So you're all on the same page. You're all digging into the same material. You're all talking the same language. And you're not starting from scratch every single hour and a half. You're not starting from scratch every single time you move to a new room. You're doing the same thing every single time you get together. And even though we break into a plenary session and all three groups, all three cohorts are together in the morning, doesn't matter. We come together as a group. And it's nice, actually, to be able to sit with our edge cohorts and with our other group. Sorry, Academy. It was coming to me. It was just slow. Sorry about that.
Don't forget Impact. Don't forget Impact.
Yeah. Impact is just such a passion of mine. And it's such a passion of this committee. And it's just something that you really, really need to attend. It doesn't matter whether you are that mid to senior level executive. It doesn't matter if you're at the top of the rung. Bring your city manager, your county manager, all of those people, bring them, because the topics that we discuss are important for all of us. It's really, really something that we all need to engage in. So let's talk about what the program looks like. It is a flagship program bringing together emerging, experienced, and chapter leaders together under one roof, just like I just said. We focus on networking in the morning because we all get together in the plenary session, and action-based learning. We do that in the morning all together, but we also do that in the afternoons. Jay he'll support me on that. We have added 3 virtual sessions to expand the learning. And that is something new this year, which I embrace because we all need to continue learning. That's something that should be ongoing all of our lives. And it doesn't necessarily have to be procurement. There's something that we should all be learning all the time. impulses, things, there's always some learning to be going on in our lives. The morning cross-cutting plenary sessions. That sounds pretty interesting, don't you think? That brings all of our participants together to network and learn. I already said that. The new, take advantage of joining the Impact cohort while we listen to and discuss a playback of John Maxwell's Global Leadership Conference, December 5th and 6th. That is something new. That's not anything that has ever been introduced. And thank you so much, Lourdes Koss, once again delivering for us a premier product. John Maxwell, everybody knows him. Everybody knows his product. So we get an extra level of goodness, for lack of a better way of putting it. So enough for me. You didn't come here to talk to me. You didn't come here to hear me talk. You came here to hear from Jay. You came here to hear from Ellie. So let's hear from them. You came here to hear from Kristen for sure. Let's see if we can't talk her into singing for us, shall we? I'll do my best.
No way you're going to get me to do that.
Well, we'll do our best to try to talk Kristen into singing because she has
Okay.
a lovely voice. Okay, we are excited to have great facilitators joining us for Summit and specifically the Impact cohort. Already said that again. It's like somebody at NIGP read my mind when they wrote the script. Okay, Jay and Ellie Caputo, our main facilitators, bring exceptional expertise in developing transformational leaders. And I can speak to this because last year we had Jay and he was with Frank, and these two were a hoot. They really, really were. Unfortunately, we don't have Frank. We have Jay's better half, who will probably keep him in line. And I am very anxious to see that.
I bet you are.
Yes, we are. And we have the delightful, the delicious, the wonderful Miss Kristen Webb. And we have Michael Rossman, who was not able to attend today, but he brings 31 years of experience in human resource leadership. He will be joining us virtually on February 1st. But let's chat with who we do have with us today and learn more about the experience that they are creating for us. Jay and Ellie, as global leadership educators, why is the topic of creating a culture that attracts, retains, and develops top people so important for today's leaders? Jay?
Well, you've kind of already touched on one of the main motivations or reasons, and that has to do with just the way that society recently, the past few years, has changed, and that it's really just becoming harder to attract the right talent, to keep them motivated, to keep them inspired, right? So the short answer to the question is that when you lose people, not only is that demotivating and uninspiring, like it can ruin morale in the organization, but of course it's also expensive. So that's the short answer to the question. You want to be more of an efficient operation. You want to find new ways to not only find the right people, but give them a reason to stay. What all the research on this tells us is that people generally don't leave bad, quote unquote, bad companies or bad organizations. They leave poor leadership. They leave people who think leadership is more transactional, where you usually you rely upon the leverage of your title or your years of experience to get something done, or to motivate people to do something a certain way, or to incorporate a change. But what we've learned over our decades of work in this field is that the best type of leadership is not transactional, it's transformational. And it's where the elements of relationship come into play. So it's recognizing diversity, it's appreciating differences, it's building real trust, creating environments of openness, vulnerability, understanding, forgiveness, cooperation, doing the hard work that gives people a sense that they're not just doing a job. I mean, people are not motivated just by doing a job. People want to know that they're a part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be a part of a mission, part of a purpose. And so when you develop transformational leadership skills, that's the longer term effect. It's not like flipping a switch. It really is. It's a practice. It's a work. And so, what we're going to be covering throughout the entire summit are what are those practices? First, by beginning to distinguish what, the differences between typical transactional leadership versus transformational.
Okay, Ellie, what did Jay forget?
What he usually doesn't forget, I just love that I can add, is that I think the challenge also is that now that we see how things are globally, it asks of each of us, in this case, you, the seniors, the supervisors, the managers, the people in this position, to transform themselves. So transform your level of effectiveness, your listening, your view, your mindset, your approach, your attitude, and everything that is being triggered in you with the circumstances is asking of you to grow, to develop, to challenge everything about what you knew, and then come up with what is it that I need to access now that this seems everything is different. Like, I wish it was the same. It'll be nice if people just come into the company, the organization, and they have to fit into my mold, but that's not how it is. And as much as I wish and I want that to happen and make it about what's going on there, this conversation that we're going to be having is about you taking a look at not what you're expecting, but what you get to create. Jay actually used that word, like how to create. So that's something that could inspire you, is that you are going to develop the skills, the abilities, the ways of being that is going to have you know that you are in ownership and the creation of the outcome that you want. And that is not hard, it's not complicated. It is going to take work. It is going to take awakening. It's going to take some getting out of the box. And we are going to support you through that, especially if you're committed. You are committed to this work. You are committed to your vision. You are committed to leave a legacy and to do your best. Then I think you are in the right place. And if you come with that, I am committed, I think we're going to be having amazing conversations. I know that we're going to be doing a great training. We have great content. We have a lot of examples and things that Christine is bringing to the table that are like great applications. And I do believe that coming up with, I'm here to create, not just to expect and receive, but I'm also to give, is going to make this a conversation that you have been wanting to happen for a long time.
That's awesome, Ellie. What can people expect when they attend the plenary sessions as well as the impact cohort?
Well, I will say something, Jay might say more. Basically, we're going to be doing the plenary sessions, and we're going to actually take this idea that Jay mentioned about transformational leadership versus transactional leadership. Like, what is that? How does that show up? How do we can we understand that in a way that we could apply it? We're going to have some processes, or we're going to have some engaging activities for you to interactively engage into the participation of what we are challenging you with. I like that word, it's challenging, because I want you to know that it's going to be active. It's going to be fun. And at the same time, it's for you to think deeply, is to come up with a solution, is to think, how can I do it differently? Because that's exactly what is needed to do what we need to do, which is create a new conversation around procurement and then talent management. We are going to be supporting you through these exercises and through these topics to come up with skill techniques on how to negotiate, how to give feedback, how to create an accountability conversation where people are willing to do that. I like the idea of the conversation of a culture of coaching, of feedback, of people wanting to receive that information. So I like also, I'm just going to tell you that we are going to bring you some of the skills that we give to managers and leaders in other places. That is those of this coaching, listening, how to give feedback and motivate people in a way that they are feeling as part of a team. And Jay mentioned something like that before. I was actually coaching a manager some hours ago about this, and if you, I'm going to say that when we're in person, I'm going to say it many times, that if you get that you are the leader, the coach, the transformational coach of this team, then you will create A players. You will attract and you will keep the people that get that in your team. They will have the attitude of, I'm part of this game. I'm buying into the mission. I'm buying into the vision. And then you will know how to handle when there are breakdowns, because you're already creating a culture of, we are all here to win. And I want to mention something that I didn't hear before. And Chris, I love that you said it. When you talk about the legacy you want to leave, is how impacting is this career and what you do to the community. You mentioned the city, and I heard that and I'm like, oh, sometimes we forget what's even beyond what we are creating on a daily basis. Everybody is impacting by what you do. It is not superficial work. And I really appreciate to be part of it. And we're going to support you into having deep, profound conversations and come up with some action-based what is next.
Thanks, Ellie. Jay, you were our main facilitator last year. How is this year different? Should people that attended last year plan to come again?
Absolutely not. No, just kidding. Of course. Yes, of course. So, I mean, here's the reality. Okay. Think of it this way. Even if we were doing the exact same curriculum, the exact same flow, the exact same content, the reality is nobody who was there last year is going to remember everything that we covered, because it's impossible to remember everything that we covered, let alone it's impossible to figure out new and creative ways every single day to apply the lessons. So even if we were doing the same thing, I'd still say, yes, you definitely want to be there. But we of course, we're always going to evolve what we're doing and expand the repertoire of the actual focus of the questions and the models that we're looking at. So we're going to review a couple of things we covered last year. We're going to introduce some new ideas, but what we're going to do different this year, that's a little bit different from what we did last year, is we're going to engage people in such a way that forces them to do a bit more of the work, right? So, I mean, sometimes when we're working with groups like this, we're like speaking, right? We're speakers, but that's not primarily what we're doing at the summit. We're more facilitating and coaching. So we're going to be engaging people in such a way that challenges them to confront the questions that are what they're facing when they're, in everyday life, and work through some new answers that lead to a new plan. And that's what we mean by doing the work. So in the plenary sessions, it's going to be, designed differently, because the challenges are going to be something that everybody can relate to, especially in our impact group. We're going to take the ideas from the plenary and go further with it. So the specific skills of transformational leadership, like Ellie already mentioned, listening, asking the right questions, hiring, onboarding, conflict resolution, coaching as an actual skill set. So the things that are just required for those who have a leadership role, in such a way that part of what Ellie just talked about a minute ago is that you're creating leadership in others. So you don't have to have the title of leadership to show up in the world like a leader. And those who at the top levels of an organization, when they get that, they realize that they can work with people in such a way that allows the culture to evolve into one of leadership itself, a culture of leadership. So even when, like the city manager changes, or there's an election and there's new leadership in the city government, the culture is still solid, so that even if you change some of the parts, the work still gets done, and the culture is a place where people want to be.
You are so singing my song, Jay. I'm ready. Let's have Todd. Let's
do it.
Summit to next week. Don't think that can happen, but you kind of get how exciting this conference is. Guess whose time it is? It's everybody's favorite Kristen.
Hi.
Hi. So, with your government background and experience, how will you be connecting the concepts presented to the needs of today's procurement professional?
Thank you for the question. First, I want to shout out the chat. The energy in the chat to me as I'm watching it speaks volumes of how critical this topic is. The number of attendees in here speaks to the importance of what Jay and Ellie are going to be presenting. And what do I play? Why am I going to be there? I'm going to be there because of my 20 years of experience in public procurement and pretty much walking the exact path that you all walk on a daily basis when it comes to leadership, but more importantly, when it comes to supporting the talent and the human capital that we need to actually do the work and do it effectively. So being able to support the concepts and the transformative topics that will be presented by Ellie and Jay is what I'll be doing. Real life examples. How do we apply those concepts to what we do in public procurement every day? How do we work with our stakeholders? How do we create the relationships that we need to create with those stakeholders to be able to further take control of our leadership? I like to say leadership, or I heard Simon Sinek say this, that leadership is not an expertise, right? It truly is a path that we should be in constant pursuit, right? We're always learning, we're practitioners, and we need to treat leadership the same way. And so having this opportunity to be able to connect that with our public procurement is really important. It becomes another tool in our toolkit. I always say we have tools, we know that. In procurement, we've got RFPs and RFQs and, seal bids, and we're doing all these different things to bring together our work, but we truly need Leadership Summit as part of our toolkit so that we can carry out our roles and responsibilities and even meet our own personal and professional goals as well. So I'll take that experience, marry it to what Jay and Ellie are going to be presenting, and hopefully be able to support your journey in leadership.
That sounds awesome. Why do you feel it's important for procurement leaders to attend Impact this year?
I think it's important to create a pipeline, internal and external pipeline, to be able to support our existing teams so that they don't get burnt out, so that they are wanting to stay. How do we navigate when we lose people? How do we navigate working with less? All of that. And I think it's important to be able to come and take that and take it back to our organizations, whether it's at the agency level, the chapter level, or even, as you all have stated, our communities. And so you want to be at Leadership Summit. You want to be in person. You want to be able to tap into the resources, not just Jay, Ellie, and myself, right? But all the other attendees there to create the network and the resources to really build that toolkit. So, and I love that we're going to have some virtual expansion as well to be able to continue that learning. But definitely Leadership Summit in its full capacity is an A+ place for you to be. That's it.
Well, Jay, Ellie, and Kristen, I am so glad that I got a chance to talk with y'all. The importance of this conference is you just can't miss it. It's something that is inherent in what we do. I mean, obviously, you have to have that structure in the workplace to begin with. And then within what we try to do, being a leader, as you said, Kristen, it's not just about the organizational chart. It's about how you comport yourself. It's about how you respond to the community, to your peers, to your family. And attending this workshop or this conference, it gives you the tools. It helps you develop critical thinking skills. It gives you tips and tricks to think about things that maybe you hadn't thought of before, or maybe different ways to think of things that you may not have thought of before. So I very, very highly recommend this conference. It has been amazing these last 3 years. If you do manage to make it there, please come up to me and say hi. You will see me there absolutely 1000%. I will love to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, chat, hear more about what your journey is, and let you know just how much the Leadership Development Committee appreciates you. Thanks for attending. If you have any questions, just let us know. Jay, you have something?
I just want to reiterate one thing that Kristen said, which I remember from last year, that what people reported experiencing that was really valuable for them wasn't just what they got to learn from the facilitators, but it was the people they got to meet in the procurement world who they connected with, they formed relationships with, built some trust, created some agreements around supporting one another after the summit. Like that was truly valuable for people. So again, there's a lot of opportunity in something that like this.
Yeah, that's always true.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Some people are saying looking forward to be there. And I will say make it happen. If I do believe that if you feel successful and accomplished and excited about, your job and what you're doing, it will also be an inspiration to create the life balance that we all want. So it will benefit you at a greater level. Your leadership skills will be not just work, but like your own persona. Your level of growth is going to impact every area of your life. So I do believe that not only if you can make it happen, just basically make it happen so that we could really support you in your journey.
And I will guarantee you will enjoy this conference and you will walk away learning something. 100%.
Thank you, panel and our audience. The recording and a link to the Leadership Summit webpage will be emailed to everyone later this afternoon. Thanks again and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.